Human life is sometimes full of very unexpected turns, the turns that may be either dramatic or even tragic. But it is these tragic moments of our life that force us to think of something really serious. What is the human life about? The human life may be long but uneventful, yet it may be very short but full of accomplishments. The person I'd like to speak about today had a shockingly short life. But the outstanding legacy of excellent deeds and accomplishments he left behind will outlive him in the hearts and minds of all those who happen to know him. It was the same mild and sunny April day in Baku in 1968 when in the new-wed family of Maya and Nazim Ismailovs, the firstling was born, Fuad. Spring of 1968 in general was a time of very dramatic events throughout the world. Soviet tanks in Prague, black colonels in Greece, murder of Martin Luther King in the States. Yet here on this beautiful shore of the Caspian Sea, there was a magnificent town standing with the image of its own. And it would be these beautiful features of his time and place of birth that would make Fuad a real ambassador for his country and the nation in much a broader sense of the word than the official diplomatic rank that he got in his early 30s. But that would still be in the years to come. So far, in the early 1970s, like many kids of his time, Fuad enjoyed a careless childhood, an excellent school, and very memorable first years of university.
Şöhretin var el dilinde. Seherlerin aydın temiz, bir döyünür yüreğimiz. Sen şehirler güzeli sen Bakü, ey cavan Bakü, mehriban Bakü.
It's the memory and the sweet memory. In fact, everything started here, at school. The greatest passion of Akshin and Fuad was soccer. It was interesting to deal with him. I enjoyed walking with him, attending football matches, and I felt that he's not just merely watching it, he analyzes the game, and his comments were very prudent. You know, each and every minute with him was memorable. We shared some musical passions too, apart from the variety novelties, which unlike today was really beautiful. We also had a commonly shared passion to jazz. Both Fuad and myself were adoring jazz, and to a certain extent we revealed jazz for each other. We started smoking in a hidden way, one cigarette for three of us, and we tried to steal them. My parents were not smokers, so we were kind of robbing Akshin's father in most of the cases. And in some elder age, we tried some alcoholic beverages. You know, we never had this exclusively secretive relationships, telling a great secret to another one so that it's only between you and us. No, we never had this kind of relationship. It's an unnecessary lyrics and romantics, but the sense of trust was always there. Oh, he'd been studying English from his early childhood, like grade 5, if not earlier. And since early childhood, He was so versed in political geography. He knew all the countries, all the capitals. At that time, he could barely imagine himself being a diplomat, but he knew all the capitals of all the countries of the world. Ask him anything in geography and you'll get the ready answer. And he well, we've got into an amusing situation once but I believe it's remarkable when once his friends invited him for a party and he said, unfortunately I can't do it today because today my dad is going to visit us and together with my father will examine my son in geography. Isn't that remarkable? 3 generations of one family dealing with something, it may be everything, 3 men representing 3 generations are involved in something common. You can disassemble a car, you can deal with anything else, you can study geography. We're making our plans, our projects, prospects. By the way, the decision to enroll in the Oriental department of the university was adopted by us simultaneously during the last year at school.
This heritage building at one of the main avenues of Baku's downtown, Istiglaliat, was exactly the place where the alma mater of Fuad Ismailov and myself was located. The building was erected as the first secular school for Muslim girls in 1901 and was a unique institution in a way that it was the first secular school for Muslim girls in the Oriental world, established by the local oil tycoon, Tagiyev, who could barely write down his own name but was smart enough to understand that educated woman is the backbone of an educated nation. Edifice of the Tagiyev school in later periods housed the parliament of the First Republic of Azerbaijan in 1918, followed by Central Committee of Communist Party, Manuscript Institution. Meanwhile, in September 1985, Fuad Ismailov and myself were lucky to step into this building as the university freshmen. The spirit of Tagiyev's time and yesteryear Baku was still tangible in this old heritage building at the time of our first year of the university with Fuad. But odd as it may seem, the Oriental department we were studying in, being one of the most prestigious departments at the State University, was located in a part of the building that didn't have heating. So in winter time, we used to have classes in upper wear. Yet, about a quarter of a century later, I still keep cherishing sweet memories of that beautiful time with its unique atmosphere of enjoying the studies and wonderful teachers we had and very nice and friendly faculty to student and student to student relationships, with Fuad Ismailov being a part and parcel of this milieu. Very hardworking and knowledgeable, he was in the meantime pretty much down to earth and open-minded and ready to stretch his helping hand to anyone in need.
Our freshman year at the university appeared to be the last year of our peaceful and careless youth. Upon completion of the first course, Fuad Ismailov was drafted to army to return 2 years later not only to a new university building, but to a totally different environment. The Cold War was over, replaced by the conflict in Nagorno-Karabakh, which, even though being of regional magnitude, was no less terrible and repugnant. Endless flow of refugees, explosive rallies, increasing violence and hostilities culminating in horrible events of January 1990 distorted the life in Baku and Azerbaijan and pretty much defaced our later years at the university.
Of course, Fuad Ismailov never stayed indifferent to the ongoing developments, and the events in Karabakh were causing his indignation and protest. That said, he always found a civilized way of expressing his feelings and sentiments. And while the ongoing political events, the demonstrations and the rallies were used by a number of students as an excuse to miss classes for months, Fuad Ismailov never forgot the main thing: he was studying hard. His arduous wish to study will bring him back to the State University in Baku almost a decade after, when in 2005 he graduated from the university as an expert in international law. Yet in the early 1990s, the situation was changing from bad to worse. While we were desperately looking for a job, Fuad tried to pursue his career goals in the field of foreign policy. But to precede his further diplomatic career, I'd like to get back to quite an interesting episode, once again related to the history of pre-Soviet Baku.
One of most favorite places for Fuad Ismailov to stay in Baku at the time of his being a career diplomat and ambassador to Austria was his patrimonial residence in one of Baku's nicest heritage buildings. The mansion was erected in 1904 by Baku's nobleman Teymurbek Ashurbekov as a wedding gift to his son. In 1906, the couple's first baby, Sarah Ashur-Bailey, was born here to become a recognized historian in the years to come. One of Sarah's childhood friends, frequently visiting the Ashurbekov residence, was Leo Nussembaum, a purported author of Ali and Nino, one of the best novels about pre-Soviet Azerbaijan, published in Vienna in 1937.
The main character of Ali and Nino, Ali Khan Shirvanshir, became a diplomat during the First Republic of Azerbaijan in 1918. However, his political career and his very life were brutally discontinued with the Soviet takeover of Azerbaijan in 1920. Unlike him, Fuad Ismailov succeeded in making an outstanding diplomatic career, but his first steps in foreign service were pretty problematic. He was too open-minded for government of Popular Front.
Impediments to Fuad Ismailov in the early 1990s were mentioned by Vafa Guluzadeh, then the State Counselor for Foreign Relations, at the Remembrance Night held by the Diplomatic Academy of Azerbaijan and attended by Elmer Mamedyarov, the Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Despite the hurdles and obstacles caused to Fuad in early 1990s by that time government representatives, he still succeeded in making an outstanding political career. Since 1995, for more than 10 years, the place of his career growth and excellence was Austria. The same Austria that became the place where one of the nicest novels about Fuad's homeland, Azerbaijan, was published in 1937. However, there is another interesting parallel with Ali and Nino. By the end of the day, it's a beautiful story of love. And this great feeling is something that is common to both the heroes of Ali and Nino and Fuad Ismailov, who kept the very nice and tenderly feelings to his better half throughout the rest of his life. A very beautiful, nice and aristocratic couple of Fuad and Leila Ismailovs were welcomed by the diplomats in Vienna and soon became the part and parcel of Vienna's higher society. Together, they were passing a cultural message from their homeland, a place which provides a unique blend of Oriental and Occidental cultures. And this blend of East and West can still be traced in this old mansion where the family of Ismailovs is living now.
He was a unique one-woman man. The great feeling that came to his life once was with him forever.
His temporary home in Vienna, it was the place where you're coming with a great pleasure, you know. It was this island of calmness, island of happiness, island of the beautiful people.
As it was the case with his family life, the diplomatic career of Fuad Ismailov was successful indeed. However, this success was backed up with years of strenuous efforts and hands-on experience.
I had the privilege to know Fuad Ismailov when I was Secretary General of the Council of Europe, and he served in the mission of Azerbaijan to the Council of Europe. And I appreciate him very much as an enthusiastic diplomat of his country, excellent representative of his country.
He was a man of culture. He was absolutely well known in the diplomatic community in Austria, in both sides. One side is the bilateral between Austria and Azerbaijan, but he was also very well known in the United Nations community like UNIDO, and where he represented Azerbaijan too.
He combined the features of a bilateral diplomat with that of an international diplomat, which is not so easy.
He was an example of new generation who can find conjunction between European values and Azerbaijani realities.
He's probably the first person I met when I assumed my official duties as the U.S. co-chair of the Minsk Group. And I walked in and there was this bright face, full of energy, positive energy, just waiting for me. And he reached out and grabbed my hand and he said, welcome, I'm Fuad Ismailov, I'm the Azerbaijani ambassador. We're going to be working together now, I look forward to it. And he was just full of warmth and, as I said, positive energy. I felt a great human connection to him from that very moment, which is, by the way, essential in diplomacy.
When I had been appointed as ambassador of Austria to Azerbaijan, the first person I met was Fuad. We had an appointment. All of a sudden, a young man came in, full of energy, full of willingness to do something, and that was Fuad. And the first impression was so positive that I thought, if this is the typical Azerbaijani, then I will have a great time in Azerbaijan.
In Vienna, he made his presence felt very powerfully with his clear and crisp, sometimes tough and sometimes collaborative statements about the negotiations, or about the conflict, I should say, that all of his friends should be proud of, showed what a professional and patriotic diplomat he was.
When you are able to speak the language which is new for Azerbaijan, I mean not English, not French, not German languages, which Fuad absolutely fluently spoke. I'm speaking about new language of democracy, language of new mentality. It means you have something in your personality.
Impressive accomplishments of Fuad Ismailov resulted in his appointment to the position of the Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of the Republic of Azerbaijan to the Republic of Austria.
He was well trained at home, at his family, and he was well trained at the university. And most important, of course, he was trained by time.
First of all, he understood a lot of the peculiarities of Austrian mentality. He got a feeling how are Austrians and how to treat them, and that helped a lot.
He was such a charming and efficient diplomat, who is really very, very rare. And he was one of the best representatives, I guess, of your country abroad.
He knew a lot about Austrian history, about Austrian policy, about the actual situation in Austria. So he had really built up a perfect network in favor of Azerbaijan.
He had this ability to be warm and friendly, but without seeming artificial. He seemed both natural and friendly, and therefore collaborative, and then a trusted interlocutor.
What Fuad had done, he created new image of Azerbaijan.
The other part of him that struck me always was the sharpness of his brain and his ability to formulate very clear and crisp arguments quite rapidly. And as I said, always very strongly supporting his government as a patriot.
He was active, he was engaged, he was efficient, and he loved his work.
A noteworthy detail is that Fuad Ismailov didn't get formal diplomatic education, yet his knowledge, experience, and outstanding personality enabled him to grow into a diplomat any foreign service could be proud of.
Fuad remains, given his record of achievement, a great role model for diplomats in Azerbaijan and anywhere.
We used his experience to present our students best case of ambassador, how ambassadors should present Azerbaijan culture abroad.
He had one very, from my point of view, very important characteristic. He never spoke about himself. He was an example of this style of behavior.
If anybody would ask me what kind of students, what kind of alumni I would love to have in our academy, I would say that like Fuad.
Meanwhile, Fuad Ismailov was caring deeply about cultural contacts with Austria. His activities in this field were truly remarkable.
He followed the cultural life in Austria.
You may know that the embassy of Azerbaijan to Austria is located in a villa which was owned before by a very famous and popular movie star, Hans Moser. It was Fuad Ismailov who showed respect for this Austrian personality, assuring that the villa is kept in a very good shape, is not changed against the memory of this actor. So I can say Fuad Ismailov left traces in our country which will be visible even in 50 or 100 years.
Fully recognizing the special place of Vienna as Europe's musical capital, Fuad Ismailov tried to his best to promote the Azerbaijani musical legacy. His input in this area left the most indelible imprint and grateful memories. Like this beautiful prelude by Karakarev, pure, tender, sincere. Well, exactly the same type of person was Fuad Ismailov, my dear Fuad, one of my closest friends and the person whom I happen to know since his early childhood. A person originating from wonderful families from both his father's and mother's side. His parents were among my closest friends as well. Therefore, I really have hard time speaking about this. However, first and foremost, Fuad was an impeccable professional. He was one of the best representatives of Azerbaijan, the best ambassadors of Azerbaijan, capable of representing his country in such a great country as Austria. He paid a tremendous attention at the development of cultural contacts between Austria and Azerbaijan, realizing that Austria is the country of a very profound culture, very deep traditions, the home country to a number of most outstanding musicians, philosophers, artists of the world, and it was far not by chance that several of our projects, joint projects and endeavors, were bound with culture. And first and foremost, this was staging the outstanding operetta by Uzer Rajabekov, Arshen Malalan in Vienna. It was a tremendous success indeed. It's a remarkable fact indeed that during this year we succeeded in staging Arshen Malalan, the Clove Peddler operetta by Uzer Rajabekov in Vienna, and we will try to our very best to furthermore promote the great legacy of Uzer Rajabekov in Vienna. Well, this kind of works by both Uzer Rajabekov and other Azerbaijani composers should be better known in Austria, hence they should be better promoted here. It was his personal initiative to erect the statue to Uzer Rajabekov in this wonderful park at the bank of Danube, where a number of monuments to some outstanding people are installed. With the help of his colleagues, with the great and tremendous support of the President of Azerbaijan, Fuad succeeded in installing this beautiful work by Omar Eldarov. The monument looks as if it's alive, as if it's standing on the ground. background. It's so impressive, and of course I would be happy to see the second part of this project implemented, and it was the dream of Fuad to install the monument to the most outstanding composer of all times, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, in Baku, and I hope the municipality of Baku will respond to this idea and will have a chance to enjoy the monument of Mozart in Baku the way the people in Vienna have a chance to enjoy the monument to Zira Jabekov.
Sculpture of one of your most famous composers, which are now to be seen in Vienna, and also in honor of him, we are now preparing the a statue of Mozart, which should be located now here in Baku. It will also be a bit of a memory for Fuad, because he initiated this process.
Fuad was actually standing behind each and every word of his, and he was capable of completing all his ideas and projects. And of course, this is a great influence of his father, a very prominent and recognized government official who now is clearing the territory of Azerbaijan from mines. And this is a family tradition of being loyal to your state, to your government, to do your very best in your job. If there is an image of an ideal government official for me, it is Fuad. Even though he was every inch a government official, in the meantime he was a very open, very candid, very sincere person. He had nothing to do with arrogance. And of course it was thanks to, I believe, his parents. His grandfather, Tawfik Akhmedov, was one of the founding fathers of Azerbaijani jazz. A gifted musician. His mother, Maya, is a person I adore. It was she who brought him up so open to people and so sincere. And of course, the role of his better half shouldn't be omitted either, because together they made such a beautiful couple. Anytime I adored them stalking at the official receptions in tuxedo, I was so proud of my nation, of my country, because my country was represented by such a beautiful, young, free-thinking couple, and the sense of pride I felt was second to none, particularly in such a great place as Austria. I can't help emphasizing his human features, because too often the government officials are lacking these human features. Fuad was a true human being, and I remember this excerpt from Hamlet when the hero says he was a king, and the man he was is the response by Hamlet. He was an ambassador, but first and foremost he was a human being.
Таким был наш дорогой Фуатик.
He's not with us, unfortunately, now, and it's hard to believe in that. And it's grief, it's sadness, but there is something bright even in this grief, because I can't speak of him in the past, because for me, he's with me.
I firmly believe that when somebody dying, or we are losing somebody you should celebrate in some way his life.
He is always with us. Because things, ideas, steps created the special Fuad legacy.
He was very strong. To continue his work, to continue this activity with that kind of the pain, not to show people around what's going on, that's really showed that he was very, very strong.
I really still cannot believe, that he is dead.
For me, Fuad was not only a colleague, I regarded him as a friend. A personal friend and a friend of Austria.
There was a concept of the memory of the heart. So when you remember someone with your heart, you can only remember those who embossed in your heart, whom you love. I can't say love, but whom you keep loving, and that's really something valuable, and that's something that makes the life worth living.
If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too, if you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good, nor talk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same, if you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to broken, and stoop and build them up with worn-out tools, if you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss, and lose and start again at your beginnings and never breathe a word about your loss, if you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they are gone, and so hold on when there is nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on, if you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings, nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you, but are none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and, which is more, you'll be a man, my son.
Azerbaijan is now more close to Europeans, but we have to do more and more in order to present our country and to present, to show the best what we have really.